how can I tell by looking at volume 163 if this is a book I should own, that I should bring into my game? And luckily the answer is rather simple. They're all structured the same. I'm gonna walk you through how these are structured. That will tell you which questions to ask each time you pick one of these up when you're walking through your local bookstore to see if you actually want it or not. All right, so I go through 9 steps when I look at these things to decide if this is the product for me. Step 1, I look at the cover. Step 2, I look inside the cover. Step 3, I peruse the table of contents. Step 4 and 5 are player options and interior art. Step 6 and 7 is a summary and new monsters. And who doesn't like new monsters? Step 8 are brand new shiny NPCs. And then finally, we have step 9, which is the back matter articles. So let's get started on Ruins of Gauntlet, Abomination Vaults, number 1 of 3, issue 163. Let's talk about look and feel and mood, shall we? As we look at the cover here, we can see there's tentacles across the top. Seems to wrap across the back. I'm immediately thinking, okay, this involves some sort of deep sea adventure or aquatic thing or something Cthulhu oriented. That's where my brain goes immediately. I've got what appears to be some sort of she-devil, she-demon, maybe a tiefling, don't know yet. She's got blank eyes, so she's either blind or she's an elven tiefling. Okay, I'm a little bit more interested here. There's some sort of constellation scroll she has in the art. Art matters with adventure paths. That tells you how to manage your expectations going into the book. I'm seeing a bunch of little schmiggle looking guys, golem ninjas, jumping out of the woodwork. So apparently there's going to be some sort of underground ambush with people who haven't seen the sun since they were evolved, if you want to call them that. I think I'm looking at a Cthulhu, maybe a dungeon crawl here involving some sort of infernal presence and something about the stars in here. It's called the Abomination Vaults, right? So that sort of supports the Cthulhu thing. I'm looking for clues, you guys. You should be too. Let's go to the back of this book here. It's an adventure. Okay, no duh, right? It says so in the product line. Enter the mega dungeon. Mega dungeon. That means we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or more levels of a dungeon that you can bash through. If that's the experience you're going for, then you already know whether this book is of value to you or not without even opening the damn thing. So I'm gonna read this right here.
Glows with baleful light. The people of Otari know it's an ominous prelude to sinister events. The town's newest heroes must explore the ruins around the lighthouse and delve deep into the dungeon levels beneath it. Hideous monsters, deadly traps, vengeful ghosts, blah blah blah. Ghosts. Okay, so there's something
Ghosts. Okay, so there's something gothic going on down here. Creepy gothic. That hits enough of my buttons. I'm ready to look at this thing. There's the interior covers that I like to look at next. Sometimes these are journal entries that deal with the actual adventure itself. Most of the time, it's just really fucking cool maps. Is this a map that inspires my GM brain? Is this a map that inspires my player brain or my collector's brain? Is there anything in here I can see that looks like it would be an interesting combat? We have some bridges over what appear to be swampland, Gauntlet ruins. So this is a desiccated, dilapidated, ruined set of structures. There's an island over here with some sort of outlying building. We've got broken down piers. I like decrepit stuff. I like old, haunted, falling apart. I dig that sort of stuff in my games. So as I open this without reading anything, I like what I see. That right there is a suspicious looking blood stain. Extra points for that in the artwork. So there's 15 different rooms, 25 different rooms on the first level. I'm looking at the back here. These are numbered D and numbers, D1 through D26, 30, whatever. That tells you how many rooms you have to play with. This is A, 1 through 25 or so. So we know in this book alone, there's a minimum 4 levels. $25 to spend on this, I gotta know what's inside. Okay, 4 levels worth of a mega dungeon. I'm happy so far. Well, the next logical place is the table of contents here. This thing almost never changes from volume to volume. I mean, we're coming up on volume number 200, I think, at the end of this next year. They're all structured the same, so you always know what you're gonna get. You can manage your own expectations. Apparently, there's 4 chapters. It looks like about 50 or so pages worth of adventure. This is a level 1 through 4. So I'm presuming each of these chapters is going to be a different level. All right, do I want to commit to 2 years of running this thing, or do I just want to scotch a chapter and then just run them as one-offs? You have that option of doing that here. You can do a single night of everybody bring your chapter or your level 3 character and then run them through the Cult of the Canker level. Do you want to run them straight levels 1 through 4? And then continue on and then continue on, you certainly have that option. What else is in the book? If we're not looking at adventures and we're just players in a game, I gotta have that part of my brain light up. It's not enough to just get good GM content for me. I'm looking for articles. All of these books have different articles. In this case, there's a gazetteer for some place called Otari. I don't know what the fuck that is, but I know a gazetteer is what you call sort of like a book that describes a place and the people who live in it, where you go to get the best lox bagels, the employment situation is in a given town. All that crap you're going to find in a gazetteer article. So presumably this article is for a community of some sort that takes place in the context of the adventure. If I don't want to run the adventure, I can just take the gazetteer and run my own homebrew crap in it, steal what you need to, and then use it as you need to. Or just go straight by the book if you wish. No wrong way to play this game, you guys. After that, this is the fun part. This is where the rubber meets the road for me. We have the adventure toolbox, okay? When I look at a toolbox, again, I think, am I wearing my GM hat? Am I wearing my player hat? Am I wearing my collector hat? All three of these have different requirements for me in terms of what I find valuable in a toolbox. I see that there's a history, a timeline of the events in here. All right, that's already a little bit of overhead right now. Not every adventure has those kinds of timelines. There's a summary of the adventure path. That sounds valuable. I can read the summary and steal what I want for my home game, or I can just run this as it's presented. There are player rules in here, artifacts and items, rituals and spells, the ghost hunter archetype. These are all things players can use. If we go further down, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 brand new monsters that do not exist in any of the bestiaries. New monsters. Who doesn't love new monsters? I have 2 fully fleshed out 2-page NPCs here. It says so. I want to check those out. I love art. I love art. New monsters get new art, so I always look. Art. She looks like a she-goat. Wonderful. I dig it. She's got a stat block. Yay. Don't care. All right. Devils. I saw horns in some of the artwork. We saw Morlocks, subterranean nasty things that worship sketchy critters. There's sparkling undead here. Apparently there's devils. Look and feel. We're getting it. I feel better now. Abomination Vault Summary. This is a 3-part story, and the first one is Ruins of Gauntlet.
Eerie lighthouse located inland from Otari glows with baleful light. The people of Otari suspect trouble. The town's newest heroes must venture into the ruins around the lighthouse and delve into the dungeon levels far beneath it to discover the evil that dark light holds. Hideous monsters, deadly traps, mysterious ghosts await the heroes. Okay, I've got a lot more for the look.
Okay, I've got a lot more for the look and feel as a GM. I know what kind of adventure this is going to be just by that description. We got spooky stuff. We've got traps. It's shit's falling apart all over the place. There's probably nasty stuff that happened decades, hundreds of years ago. There's something about the past coming to the present. All of this stuff resonates with me. I'm ready to move on. The last thing I want to look at real quick are the creatures and the NPCs. Corpse Light. Flicker Wisp. These are will-o'-the-wisps, apparently. That one looks like a ball of hair. I don't fucking know. Morlocks. Apparently Morlocks were not in the bestiary and they needed to put one here. Or these are more specialized Morlocks. Sometimes you'll find that in these APs. They're like souped up versions of the old black and white critters you find in the regular books. Morlock cultists with fancy new bows. This thing called a Scale-Athrix. Don't know what it is, but it's a creature 4, and it's got a lot of spindly things. It's uncommon, neutral evil, aberration. You can use its body parts for oil. Something called a Void Glutton. More art. Creepy, creepy, creepy. And we get to the NPCs. So monsters are kind of neither here nor there for me because I already have books with monsters in them, and I've read enough novels myself. I can just make this shit up as I go. But not everybody has read hundreds of fantasy books with strange, weird things in it. So having extra monsters is always useful. Sometimes as a player, you want to pitch one of these monsters to your GM. That is totally fair play. So NPC number 1 is this guy named Otari Ilvashti. We know Otari is the name of the town. I'm guessing it's probably the founder of the town or something. These things usually aren't complicated, you guys. He's a restless spirit with valuable clues. He's got a stat block, some art, and this is what he does in the campaign. I'm not going to read that right now. Use it for your own campaign or run this, and then it's already built for you. Somebody called Rin Sivinksi. She's the helpful patron haunted by spectral visions. I like the little descriptive blurbs they give under the names because it helps me to understand better who she is without wading through this wall of text here. How to use her in the campaign and, all the background crap that makes her valuable in this campaign. That's cool. I've got 2 NPCs that I can use in my homebrew games, or I can use in Abomination Vaults if I choose. Steal shamelessly. If there's material in here that you want to use in your homebrews, that's what it's there for. run this thing with utter fidelity, page for page, word for word, that's fine too. Use what works and scrap what doesn't. So one of my favorite things about these are the back matter articles. Back matter articles are in all of the AP volumes, but some of them are more relevant than others to your current game. For instance, in this volume right here, we have the Otari Gazetteer. It's about a city. Okay, that's fine. Over here, we have Among the Willow Wisps, and we have Warpers of Flesh. Flesh Warpers, Willow Wisps. It might be about their ecology, how they hang out together on a Friday night. I'm a little curious there. This one happens to be my favorite example of them. So this is the final installment in the adventure path, and there's something called Nimbeloth. This is a new great old one, a Lovecraftian great old one, specifically created for Golarion by Jim Jacobs and crew. There's also Ghosts of the Inner Sea is another back matter article. How do ghosts interact with people in the Inner Sea given different contexts? I don't know. I haven't read the article yet, but you better believe I will. So at the end of all of these, whether you're a player or a GM or you're just a freaking collector like so many of us, it's not just the adventures you're buying this for. Read the back matter. It's super cool and informs your play. 20 minutes worth of time it will take you to do this at the bookstore to go, wow, I've got the next 2 years of my gaming life planned out, and this is exactly what I'm ready to commit to, because I know how to look for the information in these volumes, because they are all structured the same way, and they have more or less the same kinds of information in the same places in the book. There's always something for the collector, for the player, or the GM. Everybody has something that they can find in here of value. The real trick is covering all three of those with one product. Keep it weird, keep it fun, keep it weird, and most of all, just keep it weird.